Greetings. Today I'm going to talk about dementia. As some of you who may have seen some of my previous videos knows, my mother has dementia. She lives with me and I'm the primary caregiver. What is funny, at least to me, is that I did 3 videos about dementia and different things back in 2017 and I've never done another one. Matter of fact, the last one I did was October 14th, 2017. So I'm like 2 years behind, and this is going to be different than those others because now I've been doing it for a while and I have some tips. But before I get to the tips, I really have a couple of things to say. Before I decided I was going to do this, I decided to look through YouTube and see what other people were saying about it. And there's not really a lot. And I say it that way because there's a whole lot of short videos. And there are people who are doctors or people who may work in dementia units or in nursing homes who have their view of how things should always be done. And I'm here to tell you, sometimes you can't do all that stuff. You just can't. I know it sounds good and whatever, but here's the reality. If you're taking care of someone in your house, then you're probably going to have to do things a little different. If they're at a nursing home, for instance, or if they're in a dementia care, time means nothing. I mean, they have the luxury of basically sitting there with the patient, waiting for them to do something, or getting other people to come and help do all this stuff. If you're taking care of your parent or loved one or family member, I'm going to try to stick with loved one just so I can have one phrase to use all the time. But if you're taking care of them, you don't always have that luxury of time. For instance, if I have to take my mother to a doctor's appointment, I try to get her into the bathroom about 45 minutes ahead of time and give her maybe 5 minutes before we hop in the car to go. Because, you know, they always want you there a little earlier at the doctor's appointment. The thing is, sometimes mom gets into the bathroom and she wants to stay. She's not doing anything after the initial bit, but she just wants to stay there. And I don't have the time to wait for her. So I have to find ways to try to coerce her to get up. That's just how it is. Whereas they will say, well, try to distract them, try to do this, be nice. No, you know what? Sometimes you just can't have that kind of luxury. I send my mother to a senior center 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And we have to be up. I have to get her up at least by 6:35 because I have a short time frame that I can wash her up and get her dressed and get some breakfast into her before they show up to take her. So I don't have big luxuries of time. Now, I could get her up at 6 o'clock, but then I don't get to sleep because truthfully, most of the times I don't sleep all that often. Every once in a while I get a shot at it, but in general, you know, sleep doesn't work. So I try to get my little extra bit of sleep and I try to let her get her extra little bit of sleep. So I'm just letting you know that sometimes some of the things these folks will tell you don't always work. So I'm going to give 9 things. I'm going to try not to make this like 30 minutes long, but I got 9 things and I'm just going to see how long this goes. I hope you stick with me. If this is something that you deal with in your life or something you think you might need to, here's my tips. This is the best I can do. The first thing to recognize is that all dementia patients are not the same. I belong to a dementia group on Facebook. And one of the things I recognized early on is that a lot of these folks have something where their loved one says different things like maybe they think someone is stealing something, or they'll start yelling at them and saying it's their fault for doing all these other kind of things. Well, my mother doesn't do any of that. I cannot have a real conversation with my mother anymore. She just really can't do it. It's odd that I can put a movie on in front of her and she knows what's going on and she will yell at somebody. She will say a sentence that is perfect. But we do not have perfect conversations anymore. It just doesn't happen. She says a lot of weird things. And I'm just using the word weird because, well, you know, she's always talking about, well, she said I should do this or he said I should do that. Well, there's no he or she. It's just me and her. But this is how it works. She will sometimes use words, they just don't belong in the same sentence together. And, you know, that's just how it is. So when I have this kind of conversation with her, and I'm going to talk about some ways to handle things like that, I know, you know, I'm not sure that she's fully understanding me. I certainly don't understand her. So for all those people who have said, well, don't debate them or whatever, you know what? If you don't know what someone is saying, and they're agitated for that, because they are going to get agitated because sometimes they know that they're having difficulty communicating. You just have to kind of live with it and get through it. But there are some dementia patients, for instance, who they call runners. In other words, they're always looking to get out of the house and go. When my mother first got here, she had a couple of bouts of that. Not tons, but she had a couple of bouts of that. The thing is, Mom's got arthritic knees, so she really wasn't going far. She wasn't moving fast. Only time she got out of the house, I let her go out of the house because I went with her. And that turned out to be a really weird story. I'm not going to get into it right now. I may tell that story one day. It'll be a lot shorter than throwing it in here. But, people have different things they have to deal with. There's some things that are similar. For instance, I haven't seen anyone who has talked about their loved one and taken the car keys away who hasn't had a battle over that. I had that battle. Oh my goodness, that was ugly. But then I had people who thanked me for taking my mother's car keys. I should have taken them earlier, but that's another story for another day as well. That's the first one. The second one is that caregivers have to be ready to do everything for their loved ones. I pretty much had to learn how to do a lot of things, but now I have to do it. So I have to feed my mother. I have to, prepare all her food. I have to take care of all her pills. I have to wash her. I have to dress her. I have to make her bed. I have to strip sheets all the time. I have to do a ton of laundry. I have to change DVDs. I have to put something on, whether it's regular TV or movies or whatever. I have to do that at night. I have to get up quite often during the night to take her to the bathroom. You have to learn to read certain things. There's a lot that you end up having to do for someone else. So you have to be ready to do it all. And it sounds scary when you say that, but here's the other side of it. I can put Mom in front of the TV and I can put on a movie that's an hour and a half, and she's going to either maybe doze off, or if she's engaged in that movie, she's going to watch that movie for an hour and a half. I have one of those chairs that leans back, but it also comes all the way up, so it's easier to get her out of it, which, thank goodness, I bought that sucker. Anyway, once I get her in that chair, she's probably just going to sit there. Matter of fact, it's rare now that she will ever get up. It used to be if she had to go to the bathroom during that period of time, she would just get out, and I wouldn't really know it that she'd gotten out. Now, I walk by every 15 or 20 minutes to make sure, and she doesn't get up on her own anymore. But, you have free time. So once I put something on, I get to come back to my office and do other stuff. If I really need it, I can go take a short nap. You do have a little bit of free time. Yes, I have to keep getting up to check on her, but don't parents do that with their children? I'm just saying. So you have to be ready to kind of do it all. But you will have some time to yourself as well. Number 3, this is interesting. People with dementia are not stupid. They may have memory issues, but basically what that means is they have short-term memory issues. Like I said, my mother can't really communicate anymore. But that doesn't mean she's dumb. Every once in a while, she will come out with something, then you're like, whoa, that's mind-blowing. I have to put up a barrier so that during the night, if she gets up and I'm still asleep, because I tend to wake up late every 45 minutes to an hour on average, and check the camera to see what's going on. But every once in a while, I may not wake up, and she may get up, and so I had to put up a barrier between the dining room or her side of the house and the living room or my side of the house, so that she can't get into the living room because of other issues that happen. I'm going to link to a story that I wrote on one of my blogs that kind of describes why I need to kind of keep her out. Well, it works great now because I rigged a system so that it's heavy and she can't move it. But before I got to that, I actually saw on a camera feed one time where she actually took time, looked at it, and figured out how to move what I had set up and get past it. They're not dumb. I'm just letting you know that. My mother has this thing about towels. If she sees a towel, she's got to pick it up, shake it out, and fold it. She knows what she's doing. Not all the time, of course, but they're not stupid. I've got another story I'll tell under another point, but I'm just letting you know they're not stupid. Number 4, the best situational responses to questions, whether they can communicate to you or whether they can't, is yes, no, I don't know, and maybe. Those are pretty canned responses. And I have to do that a lot because, like I said, most of the time I'm not sure what mom is saying. If she's talking about something on the TV, sometimes I say, well, yeah, I know that, whether I do or not. Actually, if I do, which I've had to put in some of her movies multiple times, I've sat down just to look at different parts of them. Sometimes I either know what's going on or I know the character. So I can give a better answer. But in general, yes, no, I don't know, and maybe works just fine. Because, like I said, you have to guess. Now, there are times where you're saying those, trying to keep a certain thing going, but every once in a while she'll debate me on something, and I'm not really sure what she's saying, but I know what she's talking about, and I may give a response that she may not necessarily want to hear, but yes, no, I don't know, and maybe works probably 90% of the time. That's not a bad ratio. Number 5, you might have to be slightly physical, but you can't overdo it. You know, the thing is that sometimes they don't want to do stuff. They really don't. Or you'd say, I need you to do this, I need you to do this, I need you to do this, and then they don't do it, and you have to guide them. For instance, my mother at night, when I get her to the bathroom and then try to get her to bed, a lot of times she wants to go back in the living room. I need her to go in the bedroom. So what has happened is that I say, look, you're going to the bedroom. You're going to the bedroom. You're going to use the walker. You're going to the bedroom. And then she goes the other way. I said, no. And I have to grab her. Now, she doesn't like it, but I have to do it. I'm not hurting her. It's just a little guy. Nope, you're going this way. But I have to do that. Sometimes you just have to do that. Sometimes I actually block the way. If I think about it ahead of time, where, okay, you can't come this way because you know you can't push me out of the way. So you're going back. And by the way, mom's 200 pounds. So, you know, this is not a woman who you can necessarily move all that easy. Luckily, I'm still bigger, but 200 pounds is still 200 pounds. You're never really sure. So, you know, sometimes you have to do things like that. In the past, I used to try to pick her up when she didn't want to get off the toilet. And that would be tough. So now, instead of doing that, what I will do is sometimes I'll just sing something off key or make different noises. She hates that. She really does. Occasionally, you know, she gets to swing a little bit and she may like hit me on the arm, whatever, and I hit her back very softly. I am not beating my mother. I am not beating my mother. But I would like smack back and she'll say, hey, you hit me. I said, you hit me first. And then she'll hit me again and then we'll both laugh. You know, like I said, sometimes that's just how that is. But a lot of times I have to like, you know, help guide her. You know, she can get up on her own, but she's a little shaky. If I help her with, a little bit of guidance, she's not shaky, she's comfortable. I will take her hand and walk her different places, you know. So sometimes you just have to be a little physical with someone with dementia. Number 6, you got to get some help, even if you have to pay for it. Like I said, I'm the primary caregiver. I send her to a senior center 3 days a week so that I have time to either go out for lunch, if I can schedule a meeting, whether it's on the phone or whatever, I can do that. I can do other work, or I can just like sleep. Because I told you, I now don't sleep as well overnight. But I wash my mother 5 times a week. I get up, I wash her, whatever. But my next door neighbor was a certified nurse assistant in her younger days. And she worked with elderly people and people who had dementia. So I pay her to come over 2 days a week to wash mom and to sit with mom for a couple of hours so that I can actually go to breakfast. you know, at a place that I like to go to. And it gives me just a couple of hours where I can relax a little bit. That's not like a work thing. And the thing is that sometimes it works out to be able to pay someone. I have a backup person for Saturdays because my neighbor will come over on Saturdays and sit with mom, you know, for a little bit of time, so that if I want to go to a movie or go do whatever, because I don't go to a lot of movies on Saturday afternoon. But if there's something else going on, if she's unavailable, I've got a backup person who she found. And I pay them a little bit more than what people will normally pay those folks, because you know what? Thank you. You are coming into my house and you're taking care of my mother. For me, I'm paying you more than $10 or $15, and I do. Maybe if you can't afford that, you know, find something that you can pay someone, but do that. I also now have someone who comes in once a month who cleans the kitchen, thoroughly cleans the kitchen and cleans the bathrooms. That works out well for me. So like I said, sometimes get some help, even if you have to pay for it. Maybe you know some other people. You know, I've had some people who have said to me, well, you know, we have a background. If you really need someone, just give me a call. I'm hesitant to do that because I've got other people. But if I really needed to do it in an emergency, I would do it. Number 7, people with dementia are unpredictable. Obviously they are. You don't know everything they're going to do because they don't know everything they're going to do. For instance, I'm not always sure what mom is going to do when she wakes up and I may still be asleep. Most of the time, she's just sitting on the edge of her bed, which works out. It's when she's not sitting on the edge of her bed. If I wake up, check the camera, she's not sitting on the edge of her bed. Now it's like, okay, now I got to go find out what's going on, and I have to rush to the other room. If she's in the bathroom, I have gotten lucky. Sometimes she's still in her room because she hasn't figured out how to open the door to get out of her room. Yes, I leave that closed because I'm not really trying to encourage her to come out. If she has to go to the bathroom, she knows how to do that. And I mean what we call number 2. Y'all know what number 2 is. If she has to poop or whatever, she easily knows how to go to the bathroom herself. The other way, she doesn't know. But sometimes she's walked around there. She knows how to turn the lights on in the hall. Then she goes over to the dining room table and she will mess with stuff. Sometimes there's laundry where I have folded certain things up, or maybe I haven't folded things up, and she'll go over there and touch whatever. And if she hasn't got stuff on her hands, you know what I'm saying here, then okay, fine. But I also lay her clothes out as well as the towels I need to wash her every day, or if my neighbor's coming over. And sometimes, you know, she'll just go over and mess with that. She's been known to bring her underwear out of the bathroom with her because she'll take it off and leave it on the dining room table. That's kind of nasty. I'm not even gonna lie. But there's that. I have to make sure I keep the kitchen door closed at night. She won't open it, but if it's open, those couple of times where I have just totally forgot to do it, she will go in there. She doesn't know how to turn on the light in there because it's a slidey thing and she hasn't seen how that works. But she will go in there and she will take the walk because I have a couple of night lights in there. So she will do that, but she doesn't stay in there long. And her walker, she will leave it in places that I'm like, what made you think to leave it there? So like I said, it's totally unpredictable, but that's okay. I mean, from my perspective, it gives me stuff to laugh at. And that's really the mindset that you have to try to have if you're working with your loved ones. My mother was never necessarily a happy person. She was stressed her entire life. So now that she's got dementia and she's older, she finds joy when I give her dessert. She finds joy when she sees puppies, and she has joy when she sees babies. Everything else, she's going to either yell at, which includes me. She's not necessarily always a happy person. Every once in a while, I am stunned when I'm watching her and she just wants to bump my head real nicely, and then she'll smile. You know what? I live for times like that because they're so rare. I mean, we were never a family that said, I love you all that much. I say that to her every night. She almost never says it. Yeah, So, you take what you can get. Number 8, you can teach them behaviors. Remember earlier I was saying that they're not stupid. One of the things that my mother likes to do, and this is minor in a way, I leave the seat up in her bathroom so that she can sit down, which took me a while to learn because I've always put the entire thing down. When I lived by myself, in apartments, I used to just throw stuff in the bathroom and I didn't want it going in the toilet. So I have always kept the seat down. Well, I worry that if I keep the seat down, she goes in there, she's not going to know to pick it up and then sit down. I just worry about that. I just don't want to take that chance. Well, occasionally she will go in and the thing will be up and she will put it down. Now, sometimes she puts it back up, but I just don't want to take that chance. So if I'm in their bathroom with her, she will go to put it down and I always put my hand back on it and push it back up. And now, if I'm in there with her, she will reach over, she will start putting it down, and then she'll say, oh no, I know you're going to put it back up. And so she does that. They can be trained in certain ways. I never yelled. She just saw that this was the behavior that I did, and she lives with it. So, you can teach certain behaviors. But if you're going out with the intention of trying to teach it, it's probably not going to work. I'm just letting you know. Like washing her. She initially did not want me to wash her. I can understand that. I'm the son. I'm male. She didn't want that. But she learned to let me wash her. She stands on this white towel. I bought a bunch of white towels so I can wash her up at the sink because it's hard to get her into the tub because she's got the arthritic knee and it's just too high for her to step into. I take my glasses off. I can't see anything. I am so glad I never got LASIK surgery because I love being able to take my glasses off. I can't see nothing. I wear rubber gloves and I got one of those, washing sticks with the spongy thing on the end so that I, wash that and then I can dry. But she learned to let me do that. Every once in a while, she's a little rambunctious and she's not in the mood for it. And I don't know where that comes from, but it's like, hey, look, we got to do this anyway. So, you can fuss all you want to. And at a certain point, she will stop and she will calm down and just sit there and let me do it. So, like I said, you can teach behaviors. And here's the last one that I have. Don't be too hard on yourself when you make a mistake. And, the truth of the matter is that no one's ever going to be perfect at taking care of their loved one. You're just not. We're not trained for it. I didn't go to a class to learn how to do this. I had to learn a lot of things on my own. I did have some help learning how to do certain things here and there, but in general, I learned it on my own. And so I have made a couple of mistakes here and there. For instance, I put mom in bed every night because she's forgotten how to get into bed on her own. But I did mention that my mom's 200 pounds, right? So if I can't get her to sit in the right place, then I've got like half of her body that's laying off of the bed. And so what I used to do is turn her the other direction so that now I know you're in bed, but now she can't see the TV, she can't do anything else. But it was working well. I was a happy guy. Until one night when I did that, and I woke up and looked at the camera and she was on the floor. She fell out of the bed because she got confused, didn't know exactly where she was in the bed, and she fell on the floor. Luckily, it's not that high. She didn't bang her head or anything. She had no pain whatsoever. But I could not get her up because I have a bad arm from a car accident in February. So I had to call paramedics to come to the house and help me pick her up. And of course they checked her out and they asked her if she was okay, and she said yes. She had no extra pains nowhere else. She has arthritic left knee, so that hurt because that always hurts. And I got lucky, but now I've said, you know what, no, I cannot do that anymore. So if she doesn't sit in the right place, I say, look, I need you to kind of stand up for me and move over a little bit. And she does. So I've gotten lucky. But before then, I don't think she remembers that she fell, but maybe subconsciously she remembers that she was in a bad position, and now she does it the right way. I have made a lot of mistakes. That's just, how it is as you get older. For instance, like I told you, I used to try to pick her up, get her off the toilet. I was strong enough to do it, but it came at a cost. And like I said, if I hadn't had that car accident, I might have hurt my back instead. you know, Sometimes you react to stuff in a wrong way. It's like, why are you doing that? What's wrong with you? Stop that. I had to learn to stop doing that. But every once in a while, it still comes out. I can't totally beat myself up for that because you're reacting in the moment. You know that, one, she's not going to remember that we had this little thing, and she never does. One time I made one of those mistakes very early on where she was just always talking about how hungry she was, and she always wanted dessert. And so I did one of those things. Don't do this. I gave her an entire pack of cookies, thinking that, okay, she's just going to eat a few, and then she won't be hungry anymore. She ate the entire pack. And yeah, there was a whole lot of mess that came out not the way you wanted it to come out. And it's like, okay, don't do that again. Like I said, don't try to teach a lesson because it's not going to work. There you go. So those are my 9 things. I've linked to my other videos on here, and I've linked to a story that I wrote. And okay, it's almost 30 minutes, but it's not quite. It's just long. There it is. Let me know your thoughts on this. If this is something you go through, if this is something you think you might have to go through, let me know your thoughts. My name is Mitch Mitchell. I'm not going to say I hope you enjoyed this. I will just say that I hope maybe you learned something that you can't really learn from the clinical people because they have to do things a certain way. And sometimes if we're not trained, we just don't. Y'all take care.